There's been a lot of talk ever since Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. whether all of the Marvel TV stuff that was produced by Marvel Entertainment is canon to the core MCU. The final episode of Hawkeye introduced us to a brand new Kingpin and the status of the canon of Marvel TV. And
I've got some bad news.
So let's go over everything we find out in the final episode of Hawkeye. So first and foremost, it's quite obviously the size of the big man. Like, we know that they were teasing, yeah, he's the big man. And there was even the banner over at the garage that was like, oh, Fat Man Repair, or whatever it was. It was something along those lines. Anyways, they kept teasing his size. Now, if you look at Daredevil, if you watch that series, you're like, well, Vincent D'Onofrio's not that big. Like, yeah, he's Kingpin. Yeah, he's slightly bigger than Daredevil. But again, he's not as big as you would think. Like, definitely not as big as Wilson Fisk is in the comics. Well, when we see him in Hawkeye, he's definitely bigger. Like, he is a formidable size. Like, we are talking about a dude who is absolutely giant. Like, you could tell he's muscular. You could tell he's got that Kingpin body from the comics, which is our first clue that this character is, well, not the same. He's a different version of the character. Let's call him a variant, because we all know what that is. Again, that's just one piece of the puzzle. The second one comes from the fact that, well, we see him take quite a beating. Like, literally take arrows to the chest. We literally see him get, like, electrocuted and be part of a giant explosion that would completely, kill someone, and he's fine. He literally ends up walking away from it. He's just kind of like stumbling. Again, that's another major factor because as we saw in the Netflix shows, he's a little bit more human than that. Like, that would have definitely killed normal Wilson Fisk from the Netflix shows. In this, yeah, it's a little bit different. He definitely has more resistance to him, which combined with his size, again, tells you all you need to know. But the big other factor in this, the big other piece of the puzzle and the story is the continuity. Kate has no idea who Wilson Fisk the Kingpin is. Now, again, she could just be very ignorant to everything that's happened around her for the better part of, well, I guess most of her life, considering she was little when we saw what happened with the Avengers. And in that time, if Wilson Fisk was doing everything he was doing in the Netflix show, specifically in Daredevil, including being plastered all over TV and the news, and being covered as the Kingpin of crime, and being in this giant, media spotlight where even FBI and the government was protecting him, you would think that would be on the news and everybody would have known about it. Now, I know somebody's going to bring up the fact of, well, no, because she was little. I will just say this. I was like, 7 years old when the O.J. Simpson trials happened? And I remember distinctly because it was everywhere. Everybody was talking about it. Wilson Fisk, what he did was a huge point in Daredevil's entire story and everything that happens there. I mean, I think it's pretty evident that they're sort of just doing the variant thing. Is it canon? Yeah, sure, it can be, but not really. We don't really ever have to acknowledge what is going on there. Unless they're somehow going to do something insane, like say he's been experimenting with a super soldier serum, and that's why he's giant now. I mean, that could be an interesting twist, but that seems kind of like you're pushing and stretching too far. But then again, who really knows? What's your guys' takeaway on this? Because I'm seeing a lot of arguments whether Daredevil is canon or not. I'm just going to go with no. Honestly, to me, it doesn't fit anymore.